purging is at last at hand. The day of doom is here. All that is evil, all that are lies, your parents, your leaders, those who would call themselves your judges, those who have lied and corrupted the earth, they shall all be cleansed.
All right, Sir Malcolm, try saying something.
Hello.
Okay, so there's something wrong here. Just give me a second.
Testing. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Connectivity issue, but I figured that out. Okay, perfect. Room is filling up. I sent something to Sir Kinaz as well. But no, we can just get to the meat and potatoes. Sir Malcolm, America is fucked. Collapse of Le Burgerreich edition. Bread lines, we got the fucking planes crashing into each other already. What else do we have? We have no end in sight of this government shutdown, which I'm surprised. I always thought it was like a number 10 or number 12 with regard to inducing collapse, but it seems to be doing pretty well in the collapse Olympics, right? So you've got that shit. You've got this Venezuela thing, which is like Trump waving his dick around, but he hasn't done anything yet, probably because the Venezuelans have the S-300s and a couple of these other guys. But no, Sir Malcolm, what do you make of all this? Is this like Faker and Gared in the Soviet collapse? Is that what we're seeing here?
I mean, this stuff, like, it's pretty serious at this point. Like, it's really serious, actually.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, and I mentioned this on like Angela Nagel and Sean McCarthy's podcast, but it's like being a doomer, it kind of sucks in the sense that if you had said in 2019, that, okay, so in 6 years, you're going to see like people waiting 6 hours in bread lines. And the governor of New Jersey, like calling in the National Guard to help with food pantries. And, you know, like the subtext to that is that obviously the Guard are there to prevent, you know, rioting. And not just to carry the boxes. So you have like 6 hour bread lines in some places. You have people waiting 6 hours and then being told, oh, sorry, we ran out of food. You can come back tomorrow. And you have people getting like food that expired, you know, like had a sell before date a year ago or something.
Yeah.
I saw that on TikTok. So people are getting like old, like rotten food and shit. People would have said, no, like, you're crazy. Like, that sounds like the apocalypse, like the end of the world. Come on. Nothing's going to happen. And then today, when it's happening, people are going like, oh, I don't see what all the doom and gloom was about. Like, I still have to go to work. It's still like an ordinary Tuesday. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of the point. Like, when the Soviet Union collapsed, people still had to go to work. It was still an ordinary Tuesday or Sunday, as the case might be. So people have this sort of standard that they apply. Like, this is normalcy bias 101, where it's like, until and unless like the clocks stop and I don't have to go to work and like normal life completely ceases, it's not a real happening.
I mean, even in that situation, they're gonna still say it's not a real happening because, like the Ottomans did this for a while. Like there was a diplomat, and when he was talking to the Russians, he was saying, "Look, man, the sublime Ottoman state is the strongest state in the world, and I'll prove it to you. You Europeans are trying to collapse us from the outside, and us Ottomans, we're trying to collapse ourselves from the inside, and none of us have succeeded." And you could just talk to the guy in the 1870s and be like, okay, but bro, you are collapsing. This is literally like you can't fucking pay anything. And like the Americans are doing the same thing, Sir Malcolm. They're just like, but look at America enough. Like, even though it's paying 25% of interest in the debt or whatever the fuck, we still haven't collapsed. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna get to 35% soon, man. I mean, you've hit the exponential stride. We can see what's happening. You're trying to normalize bread lines. What the fuck are you doing, man? it's it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you look at the graph of that stuff, if you look at the like the point where interest payments crossed like the line of military spending, like that's always a really bad sign. If you spend more on interest payments than on your military, like you're not going to survive as a global empire.
No.
But like interest payments today are like 160% of military spending.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 2 years ago, it was less than 100%.
Yeah.
So we're talking exponential growth of this stuff. So, I mean, if you extrapolate this, because at this point, like the latest figures, and we don't even know now that the government is shut down, but before they stopped reporting on the figures, like the US was piling up $1 trillion in new debt every 45 days or something.
Yeah.
So
I think now
it
it's
used to be like 100 days, but now it's like half that.
Yeah, I think it's like 25 billion a day or something was the thing before Liberation Day and the shutdown and the bullshit. Now it's like you were saying 50 or 60 billion a day or something. So every month it's going up $1 trillion, right?
Yeah, but so like on a structural level, like it's really bad. But there's also this kind of weird nihilism from the rulers where it's like, we're going to send in the soldiers. We're not going to pay them. And the soldiers are putting up like videos on TikTok where they haven't been paid for 45 days. And, like they have to go to bread lines. And there's no bread in the bread lines. But we're going to send them in against these other people who are also in the bread lines. And we're gonna use them to prevent like Democrats from winning the midterms. And it's like, bro, what are you even doing at that point? But the funny thing is, like, my guess is that there's an actual, if you got like Marco Rubio or anyone that's more intelligent, off the record, you administered some truth serum to them or whatever, like they would tell you, oh no, like this shit, it's a matter of months at this point. Like
Rubio, yeah, like isn't Rubio, Hexet, aren't those guys all just on military bases right now?
Yeah,
So they're
yeah.
So they're expecting like a Bangladesh or Nepal style insurrection or
Yeah.
something the coming month.
Right? I know that Rubio's moved to a military base. Hexet has also done so. I don't know if Miller has, but I know that Kristi Noem has as well. So like people, they're moving into like the general's quarters or whatever. Like this is not normal. This is not normal at all. Like this never happens, and obviously they're not saying why they're moving to military bases, but everyone can see why that is. It's because they fear that, you know, in Europa Universalis terms, you're gonna have like you're looking at the unrest meter and it's like at 95 points at this point. And it's ticking up like 2 points or whatever every month.
Yeah.
So I mean, these people, like, they're not gonna open the government or anything like that. Because what is so interesting about the dynamic regarding that is that after the Democrats had this massive win, and like they won not just in like the big races. But they won in smaller sort of like local races where Democrats hadn't won since, I don't know, like the 1880s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Democrats looked at that and they went, you know, it doesn't matter how long this shutdown goes on because number one, Trump has just signaled that he doesn't care about laws or anything like that. So like, we can't negotiate with him because like, no matter what we do, he's just going to keep destroying the state and ignoring the laws. So we need to head this off at the pass. Yeah. But also, the more this goes on, the more chaos you see, the more this redounds to the electoral loss of the Republicans. So they're basically saying, it's fine if you burn down the entire country because we will be ruling over the ashes, presumably, which is, it's true, but it's also incredibly short-sighted. I mean,
Yeah.
They will find out that maybe it's not so fun to rule over the ashes after all. And yeah, for the Republicans, like the calculation seems to be somewhat different, but I do think that like they're in so deep that they can't give the Democrats a win.
Well, the only thing
yeah.
that they can do now is they're just like, well, we'll order the uniformed military to shoot these fuckers, and they're going to listen to us because of these like internet online people and their dark age edits and their music or whatever. And I'm like, okay, but that's just false, man. Like they're at 25% food insecurity. The normal people are at 10, 12%. They're not going to listen to you, man. They're going to fucking mutiny. It's like, no, enough. America is not going to mutiny because America is exceptional and you underestimate the docility of the American people. Bro, you're making the same arguments the fucking Ottomans made, the fucking Qing dynasty people made. The Qing dynasty were making the same arguments before the Taiping Rebellion broke out, man. We've all heard and seen this story before, right? And like the cope that they came up with was hilarious when like Hexed and Rubio was getting on these military bases. You know what it was, right? You know what the original cope was?
No.
So the original cope was Venezuela was going to get stuff from Russia and China, and so the missiles might reach Florida and these other places. So, we are patriotic Americans, we're doing our duty, we'll be with the troops when the shit hits the fan. Like they're trying to like repackage this as like, oh, Trump's the wartime president and I'm the secretary of war or whatever the fuck. I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking 12, right? You're not living on the military base because, you're going to be at the front lines fighting Venezuela or whatever the fuck. You're on the military base because you know that when those people are starving, right, a few weeks and months from now, you need a place to hold yourself up so that they don't like climb over the wall like fucking zombies.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But there's also, I think there's a new tenor to like the Trump administration right now where there's just this sense of like desperately throwing everything against the wall and seeing what sticks. Like this latest thing where like 50-year mortgages, like that is just...
Yeah, that's fucking usury, man. That is like brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, what shocks me is that obviously, like here's the thing, right? Like when you have the dynamic of you have a guy who's formally in charge, but he's incapable.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no one that's shrewd enough to actually just sort of remote control him.
Yeah.
You tend to get like, basically, like, the guy shouldn't be writing these fucking tweets or truths or whatever, but there's no one with the power to tell him no. Because if anyone had that power, they would just say, like, come on, like, this is just going to make all of your voters really mad at you.
Yep.
Like, you can't just try to sell them a 50-year, payment on a house where, like, if the house costs $500,000, they're going to be paying $1.5 million in interest payments. Like that is not going to make anyone happy. Like, but obviously, like, nobody is capable of telling Trump that, and no. Trump is clearly, fading.
Did you see the press conference where Trump said a few words? He goes back to his chair. He's slumping like a fucking, and then somebody collapses, right? And he's just like standing there like a fucking statue. That's the entire admin right there, man. That's the entire admin right there.
But they're also doing this stuff where it's like, oh well, turkeys are so much cheaper now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not gonna work.
No.
Like Americans, they go to the store, man. Like they can just compare receipts, or they can just go off vibes or whatever. Where if something costs 30% more and you tell them, oh no, it only costs half what it costs under Joe Biden, like you can't do these stupid like Jedi mind tricks or whatever. Like it doesn't work that way.
No.
And now the latest thing where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna pay out $2,000 to every American. Like, bro, like the government is shut down.
Yeah.
And they've been
Congress
firing
is out of
people at
session, bro.
Treasury and so on.
Yeah, bro, you need Congress to get the $2,000. Where the fuck are you gonna get the authority for the $2,000? If you sign the executive order, nothing's gonna happen, bro.
Even if it said like, okay, I'm gonna do this by executive order, which is, incredibly fucking illegal. But even if he did that, and then he said to, Treasury, okay, well, you have to figure out a way to send $2,000 to every American. It would take them half a year or something to do that. Not a great help when people can't afford groceries in the here and now. And like it's just, I think we're basically hitting. We're not quite there yet. And we could wake up tomorrow and they could, like the Republicans could just capitulate to the Democrats, which is, it's kind of weird that this hasn't happened, given that the actual thing officially being fought over, it's like a no-brainer. Like if you're a Republican, like what the fuck do you care about? Oh no, my deficits. No, we can't afford like $8 billion or whatever for like Obamacare subsidies.
Yeah.
Like who gives a shit? Like the state is going bankrupt. And people can find money even during the shutdown to send like $4 billion in like emergency funding to Israel, $40 billion to Argentina and so on. Like just spend the money that you don't have.
Yeah.
And also like, what is the alternative? You're just gonna make this, like if you basically tell Americans that are, small business owners and so on, okay, sorry, next year, or this year rather, you're going to be paying about $50,000 in healthcare costs after tax. Like, what are you doing at that point? Like, they are going to flip the table over because that's impossible. So, like the Democrats, in some sense, cucks that they are trying to save the Republicans from themselves. But then again, I think this might be a bit myopic in a somewhat short-sighted way to see this. Because what you find people like Bannon and so on, like the language they're using right now is basically, we can't do anything to allow Democrats to ever regain power because all of us are going to end up in jail.
Yeah.
Which is, if you had said that in 2021, I'd have said like, oh, come on, dude. I mean, Bannon, he got slammed for contempt of Congress. I mean, he went to jail for 45 days or whatever, like something like that.
Yeah.
And that sucks if you're a billionaire like Bannon. Sure, whatever. But it's still like on the level of, you can write about that in your memoirs or whatever. Like it's a cool, like party, like a story. But today, I think the feeling is much more panicky because at some level people know that like all of the Republicans' norms have been violated.
Yeah.
And even though, in many ways, if we're being fair to Trump and to the Republicans, it wasn't them who shot first in the Mos Eisley cantina here. Like, the guy who shot first, or the gal rather, was Hillary Clinton and the whole Russiagate hoax and all of that stuff. And Biden kind of turned up the temperature and so on. But like the Trump admin, like the second Trump admin, has just completely accelerated all of this beyond to the point where people are like openly saying that the laws shouldn't matter. We want a tyrant.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, if you say openly, I want a tyrant to oppress, my countrymen, like, what's going to happen the moment your tyrant loses? Like, it's not going to be fun. Like, everyone realizes that. So I
Well,
don't think
everyone
there's
will
much
remember.
interest.
Yeah, everyone will remember that this guy 5 blocks over wanted a tyrant, so we should deal with him, right? Now that our
Yeah.
opportunity has come. Yeah. Which is like basically
So,
like Bannon in that speech was basically saying that either Trump gets a third term, which is you and I, everyone here knows it's never gonna happen, right? Because Trump can't even fucking, form coherent sentences, without like, a 15-second attention span. But like, okay, so he's gotten there. He's not going to get a third term. So what does Bannon say? He's like, oh, either he gets a third term, which is not going to happen, or we're all going to fucking jail. Which I think he's still being too optimistic. I think he's just going to get fucking shot, man. Like, especially if he keeps this up of like telling people, okay, well, food stamps and this other stuff. You know what, man? Supreme Court, we're going to give you like an, emergency injunction to pause the fucking thing. And we're gonna make it like a half thing instead. Okay, the half thing is not gonna happen, right? Because these things, like you're saying, it takes several months and whatnot. So that's not gonna happen. The other things are gonna happen. What is actually gonna happen? What's gonna happen is 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, people are waiting, and eventually they're gonna run out of patience, man. Like, we've seen this in every society, right? America is no different from the rest of the world, right? You take away the food, the people are gonna start fighting, right? Sir Kenaz, finally. Sir Kenaz, you're here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You're loud and clear. No, we just started.
Hello,
We just started a bit earlier, but no, you didn't quite miss much. Sir Malcom was giving us the latest hits with regard to how everything is fucked.
Well, yeah, it's fucked. That's a reasonable supposition.
We should just call it the America is Fucked podcast. That'll make it good. Oh dear. But no, Sir Malcolm, are you of the view actually that I'm beginning to slowly inch towards this view as well? Are you of the view as well that we're not going to see a resolution to this shutdown, end of the year or even like end of January, with regard to how things are going, just because of structural forces?
I'm leaning towards that. Like, again, I think there's a relatively, I think there's like at least 50% chance that, we wake up tomorrow and the Republicans just chicken out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're basically like, in a sci-fi game or whatever, where you approach the black hole and at some point you cross the event horizon, and then at that point, like, you can fire your engines and try to escape from the gravity well, but you're like, that is physically impossible at that point. It's just a matter of time. And I would say that, like, I mean, this is kind of like, you kind of have to understand these things in terms of, I mean, we talked about Europa Universalis before we started this, but like, you have this disaster mechanic, right? Where it's, once certain conditions are met, the disaster like ticker starts ticking up. I mean, in some versions, I can't remember if it's, that's definitely like the case in Europa Universalis 5, where rather than you knowing exactly when the disaster is going to happen, it just gives you like a percentage chance every month. So you kind of have that sort of Damocles hanging over you. I would say that, like, at some point, like at this point, we have like disaster tab has appeared. And right now, even like if nothing changes, like the chance of something going seriously wrong is like quite high, and it's getting worse and worse. But I think that if you keep this stuff going past Thanksgiving, I don't think you can recover it past that point. And also, like, if you start a war, that is going to make things way worse. Particularly, like, if you start a war and that war goes badly, like if American pilots get shot down or something, I would say it's more than an even chance of something like really, really badly going wrong. I don't think the US is actually capable of dealing with a mutiny from the military at this point.
Okay.
I think that would be such a shock to this system, like culturally, that the sort of, I mean, like, what are you going to do at that point? Are you going to send in, like, I don't know, Delta Force to shoot, like, the people in the National Guard or whatever? Like, even if they follow the orders, what if the National Guard shot back? Like, it's such a nightmare.
Yeah.
And also, like, nobody asked for this fucking war.
Yeah.
And it seems very unlikely, given that, like, Venezuela has had a long while to, collapse on its own, or, get, like, have Maduro be cooped. And, like, just the fact that they're saying, oh, well, we might go to war against Nigeria instead or whatever, I think that speaks to, like, real serious desperation. Like, they need some sort of victory, but they no longer have the ability to really plan for it, or...
Nigeria would be Nigeria would be a pretty serious war. That's kind of a large country. I mean, that's like with a bigger army than Venezuela.
It's 10 times bigger by population than Venezuela. And it's like, the thing with Nigeria is that it's crawling with insurgents everywhere, right? I mean, the French couldn't even defeat, the ISIS people in, like, Mali and Niger, right? Nigeria is like 10x that in terms of insurgents.
Yeah.
But like, no, I mean, you were talking about the Christmas and the holiday stuff. A lot of people don't understand is that for a lot of people, especially those in the quote unquote gig economy, Uber Eats and these types of people and what have you, right? They do multiple jobs, right? And for a lot of people, them getting this holiday crash, if there is a holiday crash, and they're like, okay, well, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, whatever it's called, and then Christmas season, actually, I don't make money, I lose money. That's going to be lights out for a lot of people, like literally lights out, and they can no longer stay afloat. And simultaneous with that, if you start a war, I mean, I don't know what the Russians have sent to the Venezuelans, but if even one or two ships get damaged, man, I mean, how are the Americans going to deal with that? I don't think they can cope with that.
Yeah, and also, like, again, the idea that, like, it's such an underpants gnomes logic. It's like, okay, you're gonna bomb Venezuela. I don't think the US isn't Israel. Like, it doesn't specialize in assassinating people. And, like, it's ISR, when it tried to, assassinate Houthi leaders and so on in Yemen, like, they just failed miserably. I'm not really sure that they're more prepared here. I think there's a lot of, like, circumstantial evidence to suggest they aren't. So, but even if you killed Maduro, like, you're still, like, in the underpants gnomes frame of reference here, because what guarantee do you have that, like, he isn't replaced by a far more committed Chavista? Like, the idea that they're gonna welcome in some fucking traitor, like, riding in the baggage train of the CIA. Like, Venezuelans are capable of being patriotic and nationalistic like everyone else. That's kind of the problem. So even if you could kill Maduro, even if you could sort of get that thing done through an aerial campaign, chances, like, I don't think there's any US planning for what happens if the Venezuelans just say, well, okay, now we can replace this guy with a guy that's more competent, but still hates the Yankee Satan. But in general, like, the problem is just, like, how is this going to solve anything on the home front? I mean, it's not. Like, Americans can't, a lot of Americans that are necessary for, like, basic state function, I mean, they can't eat.
Nope.
It's like you go out on TikTok and so on, and you see all these videos of, like, moms, and, like, people say, oh, well, it's just like black people who drive around in Cadillacs. No, it's white moms with white kids, I'm sorry to say, and they're not even, like, I don't know, from fucking Deliverance or whatever. Like,
I was trying to explain this the other day. I'm like, okay, like, the plurality of whites, the plurality rather of SNAP people who use these benefits and whatnot, they're white. And if you want to count the Hispanics as white as well, you get to 55%. And this fucking white nationalist rightoid retard, he's like, oh, you don't know what the word plurality means.
I think if you count the Hispanics as white, it's
yeah.
actually at 62%.
And he just like, he went on a rage. Oh, 62%, exactly. 62%. But like, this guy, he just went on a rage. He's like, oh, Hispanics aren't white, and you don't know the meaning of the word plurality. I'm like, bro, you fucking lost the plot, man. You fucking lost the plot. Like, if you believe you can starve your own population, and America's somehow going to behave uniquely versus the rest of the world, you're in the same spot that the Ottoman diplomats were in the 1800s.
Okay. The one thing that's going on here with the SNAP benefits, and it's something like, it's a very American thing. There's been controversy about state-sponsored welfare in America since Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, people have been trying to get rid of SNAP, food stamps, welfare payments. They've been trying to do that since they got started. A lot of people, and there's also this idea in America that everybody who has to rely on government assistance is essentially a lazy parasite.
Yeah.
That's a very uniquely, I don't know if it's uniquely American, but it's certainly a huge part of the American psyche. So there are people who are like, let them starve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part about that, like, as an oomphy put it, like, what we're seeing today is kind of like the American ghost dance, where it's like, as you're dying, images of your life flash before your eyes. And you see this culturally with, like, the question of SNAP, for example, like the food stamps. People saying stuff like, okay, well, I don't think all the poor people should starve. I just don't think, like, food stamps are moral. I think we should go over to a system where it's like private food banks doing this. And it's like, okay, think about this for just 1 second. SNAP is by far the most efficient way to get food into the hands of the poor. Why? Because SNAP, by design, piggybacks on already existing food delivery infrastructure. You have this thing called a grocery store, and they have this massive logistical network, which they use to transport food to the grocery store. And the only thing SNAP does is basically, through the wonders of the free market, actually, like through market signals, tell these stores, well, okay, you can send another truck.
Yeah.
Or if your truck is like 80% full, just load it up to 92%. And then for the payment system, we also have this thing called, the sort of, actually the payment system that exists for civilians, which is, you can pay by card and so on. And you have all of these fancy electronic devices that can handle like monetary transactions and so on. Mm-hmm. So SNAP doesn't actually build any new systems. Like, it just gives you a plastic card. And then, there's some impositions, but these impositions are on grocery stores who are completely fine with, doing the extra work required to process SNAP cards, payments, and so on, because they make money off of it. If you wanted to move over to like a church, that church would have to buy their own fucking truck. They would have to hire people or find volunteers to stand there and hand out food, yep. Which is not something a grocery store has to do because, that person is already there. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you see all of these Americans going like, oh, well, if only Snap, like, I would be okay with paying for it if we added this entirely useless infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
that was, 3 times more expensive, but that would like properly make the poor look like poor in a Dickens movie or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, again, it kind of harkens back to a period in American history that doesn't exist anymore. If someone tells you some fucking story about like, well, my grandpappy during the Great Depression wasn't a scrounger or whatever, like, so he never relied on the dole. Here's the thing, like, America isn't the same economy as
Nope.
it was back then.
Nope.
That's like a Roman saying, yeah, well, in my great-great-grandfather's time, we didn't sit around in Rome and look at bread and circuses. We worked at fields. Yeah, okay. Here's the thing, though. Rome, when it's an empire, you can't go and work the fields because those fields have been, usurped by the knight class.
Yeah.
Who work them with these, like, in these huge, like, slave plantations.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't really show up and, give the plantation owner a fucking firm handshake or whatever and get a job as like an independent farmer. Sorry, like that economy no longer exists.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same in the US. Like, yeah, okay, are you gonna show up at the fucking shipyard your grandpappy worked at during the Great Depression?
Some of these people believe
shipyard...
they can. I mean, some of them, they say that. They're like, okay, a bunch of 50-year-olds are going to show up to the shipyard and reindustrialize America. I'm like...
Yeah, I mean, you have to build a shipyard first.
Yeah.
I mean, because, like, if you look at the pictures, the before and after of, like, the US's greatest shipyards, it's like, okay, here's an airport, or here's an empty field, or here are some luxury condos. Like, there are no shipyards left. Mm-hmm. So again, it really is this kind of, again, like, when you're dying, your life flashes before your eyes. When America is dying, it has all of these scenes from, like, previous eras, and people kind of confusedly try to grasp for them. But, like, those eras are gone.
Yeah.
They're not coming back. And trying to recreate them in the case of, like, food assistance, for example, like just as the Romans realized that, okay, we smashed the old economy, like the Republican economy. Now we have an imperial economy. The moment we cut off the grain dole, this empire is collapsing.
Yeah,
because there's nothing for these proletarians to do. Like, they can join the army, some of them, but that in itself introduces new problems, because then we have to find new provinces to conquer in order to give them their pensions.
Yeah.
But, like, if the US says, okay, well, we're gonna end all of these stupid SNAP payments and people are gonna have to go and, get a real job, like, 250,000 jobs have disappeared just in the last 3 months or something.
Yeah.
Where are people supposed to work? Like, they can't. Like, you are basically saying we are gonna have, like, a culling of the American population. Like, maybe 15% of Americans are economically superfluous and they need to starve to death. Well, if you do that, you are gonna run into, like, the hard-coded stress response the human body has to being starved to death, which is to burn shit down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. And the only argument they have, Sir Malcolm, is that America is unique and America is different. That's all they got. It's like, well, it's unique, and there's not going to be these revolts and these riots and whatnot because they're docile, they watch...
Yeah, I mean...
all the same argument.
When was the last time America had some sort of, like, wave of rioting, I can't think of anything. Absolutely not. Like in the last, I don't know, like 4 years, there's been no big riots, right?
Yeah.
So clearly Americans don't know how to
Americans
riot.
don't know how to riot. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Oh dear. I was trying to explain this. I don't know why I do this, but I was trying to explain to someone the other day. 42 million people, $8 billion liquid cash, 7 million tons of food, 230,000 truckloads, right? If you added up all of the food banks in America, right? All of them, church, private charity, whatever the fuck you want to, whatever you want to count. All of them in a year, they do probably like 1 million tons, maybe even slightly less than that. So this is like private charities, churches, this kind of stuff, right? Snap moves 7 times that amount monthly, right? So I'm sorry, guys, but when you're telling me that the private sector is going to take care of this, you're just fucking wrong. There's no volume, there's no economies of scale, there's none of that shit for this crap, right?
Yeah, and assuming you need to feed people so you don't get like the fucking Europa Universalis, the kingdom collapses crisis, you can't do much better than Snap. Like there is no better model. Like Snap is the most efficient thing you're ever gonna get. Building another like a completely useless extra like infrastructure for food delivery. Like that shit already exists. Why are you spending money on it? Mm-hmm. So again, like they're like either just say, okay, well, we're gonna take our chances. We're gonna see if starving people leads to unrest in America, just because like it doesn't have to, just because it's led to unrest in every other time this has been tried in human history doesn't mean it's going to apply this time. Okay, fine. Or you can say, well, we're going to try to avoid this wave of unrest. But if you want to avoid it, again, you have the cheapest option already. Like it exists. There is nothing better. That's not to say Snap is perfect or whatever. Like I think that some estimates put like compliance or whatever, like the rate of fraud at some 9 to 10%. Yep. Okay. That's not ideal. But if you think about like anything else the government does, like, contracts for Silicon Valley or whatever, or, military procurement, a 90% like honest ratio, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
That's way better than anything you'll find in the Department of War.
Department of War.
So what's the big deal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, I think there is kind of an element of death drive here. I think that, well, for Trump, I think Trump, like, the lights are on, but nobody's home. Like, he doesn't really have, like, from what I'm hearing from people who are well connected inside DC, you kind of have to realize that Trump, like, mentally, at this point, he basically went around asking, like, foreign delegations, like the Hungarians and so on, that were visiting the White House, like, what tiles should I put into the Rose Garden? Because he's doing this, like, weird, like, he like, the Rose Garden used to be a rose garden, but now he, like, basically tore out the roses and put in, like, a patio or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he asked, like, there's some fucking foreign delegation coming to negotiate about tariffs. And he's like, yeah. But before that, can you tell me, like, how should I redecorate this part of the White House?
Yeah.
And, he's done this, like, presidential walk of fame and all of that stuff. Like, you kind of have to realize that this is how people's brains work when they're suffering from dementia.
Yeah. They default back to, their brain defaults back to earlier point in life where the thing with the highest frequency is what they remember. In Trump's case, he was a real estate developer. So now it's just like, okay, well, let's do real estate in the White House. Okay.
Yeah. Like he has like 6 different real estate projects going on. And that's the thing that kind of motivates him. That's what I've heard from people with like good connections. When everything else, it kind of leaves to the courtiers. But the problem is, like, the courtiers are just busy fighting each other. So if you think about like ICE, for example, ICE is kind of the bête noire of libtards. But I mean, ICE is locked in an incredibly sort of damaging turf war with what's the actual war? Like the border patrol, the customs border patrol agency, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Tom Homan and the guy and his sort of counterpart, they're basically just attacking each other, undermining each other. And so ICE wants to do one thing and CPB wants to do something else. And so like you see this in every kind of Regency Council where the king is incapable or dead, and there's no like national unity whatsoever.
Yeah.
So this was a huge problem during the Revolution of 1848, where you had the Austrian emperor who was mentally disabled, basically, and then you had Metternich and Collerat as the two big movers and shakers inside Austria, and they hated each other with a passion. And so what would happen is Metternich would say, okay, this is what the Austrian state is going to do. And then when he leaves office, Collerat comes in and says, no, we're going to strike all of that. We're going to do this instead. And then he leaves and Metternich comes back and he says, okay, well, ignore everything Collerat said. We're doing this. And this goes on and on and on. And eventually, Metternich gets basically outmaneuvered. He retires in disgrace. That doesn't help anything because there's just like more people fighting for power. And like Collerat gets sidelined as well. And like everyone is just doing their own thing. This is exactly what's going on with the Trump admin.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why I don't necessarily think there's any sort of strong impetus for resolving this shutdown anytime soon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's a zugzwang for like both parties at this point. If either party, like we are so polarized in the United States at this time that any effort at cooperating with the other party to end this shutdown is going to be seen as capitulation to absolute, literally Hitler evil.
Yeah.
So there really is no, there's no good reason for anybody on either side to like make any kind of compromises. And there's, ultimately this showdown could last pretty much indefinitely because the side that actually makes the first concessions is going to be seen as weak and defeated.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
basically it.
And also, like here's the thing though, like I've seen like a lot of American acquaintances basically lose their minds to this polarization. And so you have them posting shit like, oh yeah, well, like it's like the libtards want to kill us all, like we need to kill them first, like leaning into this sort of pre-Civil War rhetoric.
Yeah.
Okay, well, once you actually like there is kind of, there an American friend of mine told me like an anecdote that I sometimes return to, where it's like, I think it was his uncle or whatever, or his father's uncle or something. But anyway, like basically this is the invasion of like the D-Day invasion, right? And they have these landing ships.
Mm-hmm.
And like this guy, like this relative of my friend, is a very young man at that point. Like he is on one of these like landing ships, and they're like he and his friend group they're just kind of jostling with each other because like I mean they're having a bit of fun. They're trying to ease the tension, and one of them falls overboard while they're like shoving each other. And they go, oh yeah, like just throw a life ring or whatever, and like tell the captain like we have to stop the ship. And like when they find their like officer, he just dresses them down and says like leave them to die. Like we can't stop the ship because you guys were being like complete retards. Like this is a fucking war, bro. Like we're on a timetable. So, I mean, you should have thought about this before you like did something like this. Just leave him. Like there's a lot of people that's gonna die before the day is out. So, like, okay, he dies now instead of on the beach. Big deal. And that's when they kind of realize that war isn't just fun and games, right? When you have that situation where it's like, oh yeah, okay, leave that guy to die. And I bring this up because people are kind of like jostling in the same way, where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill all the libtards.
Yeah. Sure you will, bro.
Well, I mean, maybe you will, and maybe you will have your family killed by like the libtards, like enraged relatives. But like once you start playing at civil war, it doesn't take very long for it to stop being all fun and games. And once that happens, there's no takebacks. And America is at that point where like there really are no takebacks. You know, we've gone from this kind of play acting like, oh yeah, the demon rats, yeah, the Republicans are fascists. But people are pretty much ready to start killing each other over this.
Yep.
And once the killing starts, it's not going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the real issue I see with like a lot of these short-sighted idiots who really kind of threw gasoline on the fire here, and who are still doing it. Like once you start starving people, I think that there's kind of this perverse incentive where it's like it's kind of the same with Israel in Gaza, where it's like at one point you cross the event horizon, and if you like say we're gonna stop trying to kill Palestinians, okay, well once the bombing stops and the journalists come in and they say, oh well, like if you killed 250,000 people, 300,000 or whatever, this is a genocide. Like you can't really deal with that. So like the longer you can keep like the state of exception going, like that seems more for whatever reason, like even though the consequences at the end will be much worse, like just keeping up the level of conflict here like becomes a goal in and of itself. And I think that is kind of the logic driving a lot of the Republicans at this point. Like, you know, once this state of exception ends, like they got so fucking trounced in this election. And they got so trounced that like even gerrymandering, which they were trying to do,
oh, that one,
they actually abandoned some of the plans.
You
like
know
some
why,
of the
right?
Republicans.
Yeah, but you know why though? Because like they were assuming that they were gonna win Latino men and those other you know, working class voters. Folks, you pissed them off by like videotaping ICE, you know, beating up grandmas and like kids, right? So I mean, yeah, Sir Malcolm, they already crossed the event horizon on that one. So Gerrymandering, all right, bro, go for it, and let's see if those voters vote for you. And we're assuming there is an election in 2026, right? But like,
I think that at this point,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are coming to the conclusion that you can't have an election in 2016 or 2026 rather.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, gerrymandering is no longer a reliable option because, I mean, some of the districts that have been gerrymandered, are probably unsafe. And trying to do gerrymandering where it's like, if you lose a fucking seat that's been Republican since 1870, it's very hard to plan for that.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, like, given the complete lawlessness here, there's nothing good in store if the Democrats win. And so again, I think that you kind of have this insane, like, escalate to de-escalate logic, for both political sides at this point. And again, once you start escalating to de-escalating, and that involves soldiers fucking starving, I don't think you can recover from that tailspin, actually.
Yeah, that's been one I was like, we are going to stop paying the soldiers at a point, and we're going to do things that have a high probability of causing unrest. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays out. It's like, I've said this on off before. It's a regular statement on here. Every time that I've thought, well, there's no way they can go through with this. Nobody would be stupid enough to do this. They've just shown my paucity of imagination. It's like nobody could be that stupid. Hello. And, I don't think that, like, you really want to keep your soldiers paid, if nothing else.
Yeah, and in terms of the soldiers and these other guys, I mean, Sir Kenaz, it's not just the soldiers. It's also you have to keep the civilians fed, especially if it's like the kids and the elderly, because, if they're not fed, soldiers have families. Soldiers are not an island unto themselves, which I think the online...
I agree with you, but what I'm saying is, like, if you think you're going to have civil unrest, you better make sure all your enforcement teams who are going to be putting down that unrest are getting regular paychecks.
I mean, even if you give them the paychecks, and if their families are starving, I don't think you can put down the civil unrest. That's the thing. It's like,
well, that's just it. If they're like, again, there's problems. There's problems here. My point is that you're screwing with military salaries at a time when you're talking about getting the military involved in several possible operations. I mean, I don't know if Venezuela is going to turn out to be anything more than a fart in the wind. I mean, I'm hoping somebody somewhere, once again, I am like having a paucity of imagination, is going to point out an extended Venezuela war could very easily wind up with Afghanistan, only with jungles instead of mountains and deserts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Nigeria. I mean, that's the stupidest thing I've heard. The idea the United States is going to go to war with Nigeria, that's the stupidest thing I've heard so far, this week, and it's only Sunday. So I got 6 more days to wait to see what else they come up with, but that's idiotic.
Yeah, but it seems like right now the big problem also, which I think really strengthened this tendency to escalate to de-escalate, is just that the tariffs are probably going to be struck down.
Yeah. The current odds, the current odds on the prediction markets, I think, is 20% chance that the Supreme Court's rule in favor. I think 80% chance that they strike them down. On the prediction markets, if you see anything above 70%, that means that there's momentum. If you see anything above 80%, that means that market is beginning to price in the outcome. If it's above 90%, the market and the people who do this professionally, they're like, yeah, this is a fucking done deal, right? So we are approaching that. We're approaching that, and yeah, Sir Malcolm, is the Burgerreich going to refund the tariffs?
I mean, the thing is, they can't.
They can't, yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, there's no state capacity.
Yeah.
So, I think that, like, what's gonna happen, and this is kind of damaging politically for obvious reasons. It's like, okay, well, we collected all of these, like, taxes that were illegal, but, like, we are too incompetent and too weak and too decadent to pay you back, so you're not gonna get paid back. Or they're gonna say, oh yeah, we'll definitely pay you back. You just have to hire a lawyer and then send us like all the paperwork that we like arbitrarily decide you need to present. Mm-hmm. Like, we're gonna set an impossible standard so nobody can get paid. Like, but both of these are quite damaging politically. And again, it's also, once these tariffs fall, okay, so what is the solution to make America like a functioning country again? Like, what is the light in the tunnel here? There is no light in the tunnel.
No, there isn't one. And like, I follow some of these economy people. They're like the nice deflation doom people, and the Kielburger spiral is already happening as we speak, right? I think the number is if you have an effective tariff rate, you have to multiply that number by 3, and that number gives you the tendency for like, okay, how much is trade going to have to readjust for the tariff? So I think Trump's effective tariff rate is like 18 or 20% versus the rest of the world. If you add in China, so that's like a collapse of like 60% over 18 to 24 months, right? I mean, the tariff revenue right now, I mean, I think it peaked in like July or August at like 31 billion or something. It's at 28 billion monthly, right? If you're not taking in the $28 billion monthly, bros,
Hold on. Just hot off the presses. Hot. From Middle East Spectator, they quoted Donald Trump. People that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world, with almost no inflation and a record stock market price. 401ks are highest ever. We are taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt, $37 trillion. Record investment in the USA. Plants and factories going up all over the place. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone.
Oh, dear.
Scott Bessent has already walked that back and said that by a dividend paid out to everyone, he means that it's a like dividend in spirit, because you've already gotten more than $2,000 just from the amazing like wealth effect that the tax cuts and return to prosperity through the big beautiful bills. Like, rejoice. You are already $2
I don't think I could
richer.
Smoke enough crystal meth to make a statement like that. I mean, it's like you have lost touch with reality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is literally, if I saw somebody saying this on a subway car in New York, I might toss some change in his cup, but then I'd probably move away from him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, it's so funny. Like, he comes out and says, a $2,000 dividend to everyone, and then Bessent comes out 5 minutes later and says, by a $2,000 dividend, he means no tax and tips, which you've already gotten. So shut up.
Oh dear.
$2,000 tariff dividend.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I saw that and I was like, once again, this is what I keep saying. I keep saying, these people can't be that stupid. And it's like the real problem is just my failure of imagination.
I mean, Trump is just senile. Like he is Joe Biden. He's Orange Joe Biden, man. Like this election was a showdown between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden won. Like, so now you get Joe Biden.
Yeah. The eternal Brandon effect. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Because I mean, at this point, like they're posting stuff, it's actually like worse. Like I'm gonna give Joe Brandon here the benefit of the doubt. Maybe like the 4th of July cookout in 2023 was like 14 cents cheaper than the previous year, because that was their claim. Literally 14 cents.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened. Like maybe in the midst of all of that inflation, fucking like beans in a can or whatever, plus like the other stuff, if you totaled it up, you would be like 14 cents richer. Big fucking whoop.
Oh, God, okay. More from Donald. Will the American people, feel better about our country? Well, other than the shutdown, obviously, which is caused by the Democrats, which could be ended by the Democrats in 2 minutes. They feel much better. We have more jobs. We just set a record on that. We have more investment in our country than any country in history. We have $18 trillion as of this moment, and we're going to be 20 to 21 trillion by the time I finish my first year in office. Not even China. There's not a single country in the world close to that number. Your friend Biden in 4 years was less than $1 trillion. We have more jobs. We have more potential than any other country. We are the hottest country in the world right now. Think about it. We will have 20 to 21 trillion dollars invested. We have auto plants pouring back in. We have AI plants pouring back in. We're leading China in AI by a lot. We're leading everybody in every category. There's no category where we're in second place.
Yeah, I mean, again, people have this normalcy bias, but I have to point out what is going on right now. The Soviet Union didn't get this bad. Like,
yeah, this is like Baghdad Bob levels, like the Iraq War. This is Baghdad Bob. We are they are not coming near us. We have shot down all the American planes, as American planes are flying overhead.
Yeah, I mean, the Soviet Union, for all of its flaws, like it never really, it wasn't this dysfunctional and this plain fucking stupid to not to put too fine a point on it, but it still collapsed. Like you at least didn't have to hear about the wonderful 5-year plan. Like we're gonna get the greatest 25 trillion billion gorillion dollars in 2 hours.
We're gonna get $200 billion from Uzbekistan, whose entire GDP probably is not even that number, right?
Yeah.
And they barely do any business with us. And Qatar's gonna give us $2 trillion. Meanwhile, it's like 3 million people, GDP of 200 billion. It's all rubbish. All of this is rubbish.
And in the
20
Soviet
trillion,
Union,
50 quadrillion, it's all bullshit, man. He's just making up numbers now.
In the Soviet Union, if you look okay, so, oh man, this Chernenko guy, he's 72. That's way too old. What the fuck are we doing? Can't believe this guy, this politician, he's 71 years old.
Yeah, that was actually a problem when Reagan was in office. Wow, he's 71. Yeah, we've had 2 guys who had their 80th birthday in office.
Yeah. Yeah, Trump, it's way worse in that respect as well. Trump is way, no serious country should have a fucking president that's 80 years old. That's insane.
I kind of feel like if you are going to be president of the United States, one thing that is non-negotiable should be somebody wakes you up at 3:00 in the morning with very bad news and you have to come be on it. You can drink a cup of coffee or tea, your stimulant of choice, whatever, and be up and functioning in 10 to 15 minutes. That's non-negotiable. Like, it's very possible, Mr. President, there is a missile headed toward us. We don't know where it's from, something like that. Joe Biden, you couldn't count on till after sunset, and Trump is not much better.
Yeah.
Give Trump a couple of years.
Yeah. The issue is though that, objectively speaking, I think Trump is way more destructive because Biden didn't really have the same sort of cult of personality. So obviously, he was kind of being puppeteered around by a small coterie of people who were, relatively speaking, fairly coordinated. If you think about the Biden administration, who did you have? You had Sullivan, you had what is that? The Secretary of State, what was his name? The rocking in the free world guy. Well, whatever. I can't remember. Yeah, Blinken. Yeah, Tony Blinken. You had Blinken, you had Sullivan, you had a few others, but they weren't really feuding with each other out in the open, for example. And so you kind of had this question, who's in charge? But it's one of them. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of ways, it was probably Sullivan who was the real mover and shaker behind that administration. But that was a Regency Council that kind of worked in a way, at least according to it set a couple of goals and it was capable of following through on them. I can't really remember any sort of super wild swings in policy, for example. They had the policy of supporting Israel and they did it. They had a policy of supporting Ukraine and they did it. There wasn't okay, we're going to invade Venezuela. Oh, sorry, we're not. We're going to bomb Iran. Oh, sorry, we're not. We're only going to slightly bomb Iran. Oh, shit, we're going to invade Nigeria. They weren't doing that kind of stuff because, again, that's the stuff that happens once you have, nobody who's formally in charge because the guy who is a fucking vegetable. And, all of the people around him are just busy, fighting each other. Sullivan and Blinken and those people Newland and so on, they kind of, they could work together. Mm. But with Trump, no. And again, I don't think there's anyone to really contain Trump's belligerence, which is, one of the common symptoms when you have dementia. Trump, for example, going out and saying oh, people should shut the fuck up about affordability. It's a hoax. It's a Democrat hoax. Biden would not do that because his handlers would just say, oh, well, you're a bit tired. You should go to sleep right now, Biden. but you have this stupid cult of personality, so nobody's gonna take away the keys from grandpa this time around. And I'm just amazed. Every day brings something new. A fucking 50-year mortgage. This is being sold.
Somebody should start a company. It's gonna be a startup. It's not going to be a technology startup. It's just going to be a financial startup. And the only objective is to secure rights to a 100-year mortgage. That's all they got to do.
Yeah.
That's the only thing they got to pursue. Oh, man. Such a fake and gay economy. Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And I think that, these people are just in a goddamn bubble. It's so super clear. Why would you have a fucking Great Gatsby party right now. Like, people aren't eating. Can't you pick any other decade than like the decade of the Great Depression, please? Like, come on. Like, have a fucking disco themed, like, Halloween or whatever. Like, we all love disco, right? Like, at least people won't look at that and go, oh, like, they're fucking with us.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a disco themed party as people were starving, they would go, oh, well, I guess these people really like disco. And maybe that's inappropriate when I can't find food or whatever, but some people just love disco. But instead, they have like the Great Gatsby. And like anyone with an IQ above the melting point of water would realize this is stupid. Like, this is inappropriate. But again, I think that, like, again, like the smart people like Rubio and so on, they've moved into the military base because they know that the bullshit about like, oh, we're the richest country in the world and things have never been better. They know that's not true. They know this thing is going to explode sooner rather than later. I don't think Trump knows that at this point.
I mean, Grandpa is not taking a nap this time around. Grandpa's going around tweeting stuff. And I think one of the U.S. officials, he just told the Nigerians, yeah, Nigeria should just go quiet and let the president's attention go elsewhere, right? This is what America's been reduced down to, Sir Malcolm. It's just like the angry fucking shizo, around the block that everyone else has to deal with. And, like balancing coalitions and these things, we're seeing it happen with like gold and silver and these other things. And people offloading treasuries and the whole shebang. But I mean, I think you were saying on the Nagel and the Sean McCarthy podcast that if America doesn't actually go to war with Venezuela, that's a big sign of like, okay, well, you're doing all these emergency maneuvers, you're moving things around, but even after several weeks and months, you did not start a war. That means you've lost actual capacity to even wage something against Venezuela, which is like, I mean, it's kind of like 28-30 million people, doesn't have a missile arsenal like Iran, has a bunch of drones and speedboats. I mean, if you can't fight Venezuela, man, you ain't fighting Nigeria. So
yeah, I mean, I think that, like, again, there's still some time to step back from the brink, but no signal has, like, there are no indications that anyone is willing or capable of actually doing that right now. I mean, it comes down in some way to the Republicans in the House. They would have to basically do some sort of coup against Trump, basically tell him to fuck off, which I don't think is going to happen. I think they're like the Europeans at this point, where it's like this kind of weird dependency where the ship is sinking and that just means you cling to it even more. But the thing is, right, like, there's been so many off-ramps already, and none of them have been taken. So for this food stamp stuff, for example, like the breaking news right now is that Trump's USDA has sent out like a letter to all states saying that if they made preparations to pay out food stamps for this month, they have to immediately undo them. Or else the USDA is going to start some kind of legal process against them. Mm-hmm. And I saw people saying that, like, okay, Trump is just waiting for a judge or whatever to order him to pay food stamps so he can throw his hands up in the air and say, oh, I can't believe it, like these fascist, like liberal judges, like they're usurping executive power. You haven't heard the last of me. I guess I'll pay out the food stamps. But like this is what happens when you let libtards run loose. So that way he could just, give up in a way where it's like, I didn't give up. It's like the system is unfair. Mm-hmm. He got that chance. And instead, he said, no, I will seek an emergency injunction from the Supreme Court so I don't have to pay out food stamps, and they granted it, which I think was like legally pretty unassailable. I doubt that it's really appropriate for like a circuit court judge or whatever to give orders that like you have to pay out food stamps in full, and you have to show me like how you intend to do that. Like this is an issue with Congress. This is not an issue with the executive to start with. So, like, wires are getting jumbled here from each side of this sort of fight over power. But like, having said all that, again, Trump could have taken the off-ramp. And I think that like the only explanation for basically instructing the USDA to like, no, we have to deny money to food stamps, is that they still think that if they make Americans starve, this will redound into people being mad at the Democrats.
No.
This is not how these things work.
Yeah.
What happens when people starve is that they start rioting.
Yeah.
That's it. And the trick here with riots is that you can get ahead of the riot and then you can call it a political demonstration or whatever, which is exactly what the Democrats did with the George Floyd. Oh, sorry. Did I say the George Floyd riots? I thought we were supposed to say that like America's safe because there's no rioting.
Oh, it was
let's say there
peaceful
had
protests.
been,
So Sir Malcom,
Yeah.
it's mostly peaceful
Yeah.
protests. Like you could see the
Yeah, that's
burning
true.
building behind the guy as he's reporting on it. Mostly peaceful,
Yeah.
man. Americans can't riot. Americans are never going to do anything. Nothing's going to happen. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, exactly. But
they'll pay 100% interest on incoming all the
Yeah.
cancer cells will spread to every cell of the body and still nothing will happen.
yeah, but in the alternate universe, where there were some kind of massive countrywide violent riots in the early 2020s, in the alternate universe where that was true, what the alternate universe Democrats did was they saw a massive riot that was uncontrollable, and then they put on the fucking kente cloth and kneeled and said, like, George Floyd forever or whatever, Black Lives Matter, and said, okay, well, you're rioting on the Democrats' behalf. Yeah, you can do that. Like, there's this famous quote from, I think it's like the Revolution of 1848 in France, where there's like one of these libtards who really just wanted King Louis Philippe to sort of expand the franchise a little bit, give a few more upper middle class people the right to vote. And like as the monarchy is falling and like people are out in the streets, he's like wringing his hands at some friend's house and he says like, out there go the people. And now I have to go out there and follow them because I'm their leader. And that's kind of what you have to do. Like, if you're the leader of the people and they start rioting, you have to follow in their coattails, because otherwise you are politically irrelevant. And so again, if you're trying to sort of guide these things, no, you can't. Obviously, like, the Republicans are not gonna be saying, oh yeah, like, please, topple the government, please, start a revolution or whatever. We'll support you. No, they can't do that. Like, they're the ones in power. They control the trifecta. The Democrats can, because they don't control the trifecta. And the Democrats will say that merely out of self-preservation. So it's just incredibly foolish and short-sighted to play a game of chicken with this, because, I mean, there are only two outcomes. One where Democrats win, or at least Democrats lose a little bit less than Republicans. And the other outcome is that both lose so much that it's like the question of who loses the most is academic.
Pretty much. All right, we got a packed house actually. Thank you, dear listeners, for your patience. Sir Malcom, we've been speaking for about almost 90 minutes, plus minus, I think, 10 minutes. Are you up for some questions from the audience?
Sure.
Lovely. All right. For those of you who've been waiting with bated breath, thank you so much for your patience. Send me requests. Me and Sir Kenaz, our host and co-host, we will make you speaker. Couple of housekeeping rules. Be on point, 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Question, comment, whatever you want, go for it. Just make sure it's on topic and not something completely unrelated. We're talking about America, the collapse, all these other things, right? Please keep it on topic. Thank you very much. All right, let's see what we got here for requests. Oh, I just saw one and then it went away. Don't be shy.
Based meth addict. I just approved you.
Oh, okay. You approved him. Okay,
if it didn't come through, let's say yes.
Just give it a few seconds.
It didn't.
Didn't come through.
How we doing?
You can also, there we go. Okay, excellent. We're doing well, good sir. Question, comment, go for it.
I'm going to ask this question, and then I'm going to head out because I'm actually driving to church right now.
No.
Malcolm, so first off, 2 questions. First off, Malcolm, your fried chicken levels, how are they doing? We good?
Yeah. I had a re-up yesterday, so.
Good. Just want to make sure. Let's go get this nigga some fried chicken stat. But the point is, second question, in terms of the collapse, because I heard a lot about Trump. I saw Trump talking about 20 trillion this, 20 trillion that, and everyone seems to be thinking that he's going to start printing money like crazy. Are we sure that that's what's happening? And are we sure he's not just lying out his ass about the money that's being invested in the country?
Yeah, I mean, he's just bullshitting. I don't think there's a plan. Trump is not lucid enough to basically say, oh, well, there's 20 trillion investments, and then they're behind the curtain, they're just printing 20 trillion or whatever. No, there's no factories opening up. They can't even avoid, sending eyes in to arrest all the people at the factories that were left over from Joe Biden. So he's just senile and bullshitting. That said, there will be a lot of money printing. And I think they're already starting with liquidity injections. There's a lot of humdrum about that on Twitter. But I think that's the next step. The AI bubble is, if it's not already collapsing, it's just on the cusp of collapsing. And so I think that we're looking at the massive financial crisis happening at the same time as people can't fucking eat. So yes, I mean, hyperinflation, it's kind of like bankruptcy. It happens slowly at first and then really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So that's probably something that's going to happen and not too far away.
Thank you, good sir, Base Meta for the excellent question. Thank you, Sir Malcom, for the answer. Arm the Gormless. I don't know if I said that correctly. Arm the Gormless. You are speaker. Question, comment. Go for it, good sir.
Hi. I have a question for Malcolm. So please don't take this in an antagonistic way. I just don't pay attention that much to your output lately. So this is my question. I heard you a bunch of times on Good Old Boys a couple of years ago, and you were talking about how this coming collapse of ports and dray truckers and everything like that. I remember that was a really big deal back in the time, and I don't really know what came out of that. And I remember you were really hard on that. And whatever came out of that, and did you ever kind of take back any of those claims? And I'm just curious what your thoughts are, with a little bit of kind of hindsight perspective. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I kind of alluded to this at the start, where I lamented at how thankless a job it is being a doomer. Like, I don't know what to tell you here other than like you're living in the collapse right now, Ro. It doesn't get any spookier than this, in the sense that so like I have a friend who works with he repairs like semi trucks. Kind of a critical job for the economy, because without semi trucks you have no economy. That business is collapsing. Why? Because at this point, like, supply lines are breaking down. There are no spare parts, or the spare parts that are coming in cost something like 200%, 300% of what it cost 2 years ago. So, I mean, like, again, I think that people listen to this stuff and they think, okay, well, it's going to be like, what's that quote from Ghostbusters? Like, human sacrifice, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. No, it's just like spare parts cost 3 times as much. And suddenly you have this massive wave of bankruptcies, and you have these runaway inflation to the point where the government even stops measuring inflation, which is going on right now.
Yeah. There's no data. Like, the government is just flat out saying, yeah, you're not going to get labor data, you're not getting inflation data. You ain't getting any data, folks. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, like, so this is what we're living in right now, is basically what I was talking about. And if that doesn't sound as sexy as you imagined, well, I mean, that's a common problem, I would say. But like, I don't know, like red lines, imperial collapse, economic collapse. I mean, these things are kind of like, it's just another Tuesday.
Yeah.
People were getting married. They went out to, drink with their friends and so on during the Napoleonic Wars or during the February Revolution in Russia. So like, yeah, there's like, obviously there's still a sense of normality even during a collapse, because like, that's the only way humans know how to live. Like, there was a sense of normality after a while during the Black Death. Like, not even the Black Death ended up being what I think people imagine when they hear like the word collapse. It's like, you still have to wake up and you still have to dig the mass grave. And then you have to go to bed, and then you have to dig another mass grave tomorrow. And it's like, it's kind of, the days blur together. And obviously this is not nearly as bad. But again, like, what you are looking at right now in the US is like, I mean, it's worse than the Soviet Union at the end of its days.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Next up is TKT. Question, comment. Go for it, good sir.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Okay, can I ask a question about economy, or is it it's a bit technical?
Related. Yeah, it's related. Go ahead.
Okay, so I've read an article on The Economist recently, and it was putting forward the fact that the share prices for AI-related companies are going up, and all the rest of the American economy share prices are going down, and even the what we call the real economy, meaning industry and agriculture, is going down. And these two last sections of the economy, like real economy, agriculture and industry, was hit very hard by the Chinese response to the tariffs, because essentially the motor and vehicles and cars industry was receiving its parts from China, and because for the agriculture, there are the vast agricultural lands in the Midwest planting soya, and they were sending it to China, and China has blocked this import. And so my question is, because there's an equation between the grip that the US has on the rest of the world, right? In percentage of mining shares, their companies, a percentage of energy companies and energy drills, and the capacity that they have to print dollar, and to the bad effect of printing dollar is spread worldwide because everybody has dollars in their hands, right? So this lowers the burden of printing dollars domestically for the US. So there's this grip on the rest of the world, and there is this new data that we have that's suggesting a collapse. Okay, so my question is, how do you think this equation will go through? Will we see the signs that we see? Will we see these signs overwhelming so much that the grip that the US has won't save the US? Thank you very much. I hope it was understandable. Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Thank you for the question. Before Sir Malcolm goes, I would say, brother, you're already living in it, man. I mean, the fact that Brazil can add 16 tons of gold to its gold reserves and the Americans can literally say nothing, and the fact that the rest of the world is buying gold and dumping treasuries, right? Large secular trend for that. That's telling you, you're in it, man. Like as Sir Malcolm was saying, you're in the process. Now, it's not as sexy, as dramatic as the movies show you to be, right? It's gradual and incremental, but you're in it, my friend. The fact that the Dixie is struggling, the fact that, okay, well, these guys are, they've got these AI things. I mean, you should check the profit to earnings ratio for those companies. Just a thought, right? You should also check, by the way, what the American GDP looks like without the AI companies, right? Which is like getting all this emergency repo and whatnot. 0.1%, 0%. So basically the American economy is not growing without the AI stocks. You're in the collapse, my friend. You're in it right now. But no, Sir Malcolm, go ahead.
No, I don't really have anything to add. I think I think you summed it up pretty well here.
I hit the home run, basically. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, I guess I gotta practice a bit more, but getting there with regard to my dooming skills. Okay, so after Sir TKT, I think the order was Sir Richardson. Go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, I mean, it's not afternoon here. I think it's Sir Kenaz. It's like
I need to work
morning
on
your
that,
time.
but good morning.
Fair enough.
All right. Malcolm, I had a question for you. Well, first things first, I'm glad to see this U.S. state has heroically done everything possible to ensure there's bread riots. So that's now in play. But my question for you, Malcolm, is have you been paying attention to the news that's been happening with these FAA airport closures? And it seems like possible that they just won't be able to have any airplane flights for the holiday season because we're in the literal collapse now. So do you think you're going to start seeing Americans panic en masse over that, or just everyone's so shell-shocked it's whatever?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting question because if you think about the shutdown itself, the shutdown during Trump won about the wall, that was big fucking news. That stuff was front page. And now we've had a shutdown that's gone on for much longer and that has crossed a lot of Rubicons here, proverbially. And people are whatever. It's not even in the newspapers. And so I think that kind of shell-shocked affect is kind of an accelerant here towards crisis. So it seems like the plan right now is to try to or at least like when this shutdown drama began, the Republicans were clearly signaling that like it's only going to be a couple of days until the Democrats cry uncle, because like, they love the poors, and if the poors can't eat, the Democrats, they like suffer, like sympathetically or whatever. And then it turned out to be
all the Democrat voters are black. All the blacks do is like consume Snap. So if we just go after them, they're gonna cry uncle. That was basically the entire strategy.
And then nobody figured out that like, okay, well, if people can't find food, and one party controls a trifecta, the other party can just say like, dude, we're not the president right now, bro. Like, don't get mad at us, and that stuff will actually work. But like from the start, the plan was probably that like airplane shutdowns was like the nuclear option. And now these people have realized, oh man, like the more we do, the more it harms us. But I think they're kind of locked in. I think they're going to hope against hope that if Americans can't even visit their families during Thanksgiving, like this, they will take out their anger on the Democrats. And like the guy in charge of that stuff is now out in the media saying that like, yeah, it's all the Democrats' fault. There's not going to be any planes flying. And if you hate that, well, blame the liberals. So I think they're basically trying to massage this as best they can and prepare people for like total chaos. But I think people have already started canceling flights because in one case I heard like, pre-TSA checkup, like that was a 3-hour wait. And we're not talking like the actually going through like the scanner and all of that stuff, but like the stage before like you can check in so you can get placed in the queue to go into the scanner. And that's like a 3-hour wait because of staffing shortages. So if that gets worse, like people would Marjorie Taylor Greene took the train to get home from Washington. So there's I think unless they back down like tomorrow or something, I think that cake is already been baked.
Yeah. Just to buttress the point, Flighty, this is like one of those like people who do the numbers for this. Okay. Today has been the worst by far. And by the way, I shared this to the spaces. I shared this in the comments as well. Okay. Today has been the worst by far. Okay. American Airlines, 7% canceled, 32% delayed. Delta Airlines, 10% canceled, 32% delayed. United, 6% canceled, 31% delayed. Southwest, 4% canceled, 26% delayed. So, folks, you're already seeing like half of all flights either canceled or delayed. It's only going to get worse if this continues.
Yeah, and again, right now there's no impetus for like when half of the flights are either canceled or delayed, like you have to back down right now. And even if you did it like in the next 5 minutes, it's unclear like if you could actually turn it around. Because these things have a momentum, right? Like once they start going, like it takes a lot of time to unfuck these things. But I don't think they're going to fix this in the next 5 minutes. I don't think they're going to fix it in the next 5 days. They might not even fix it in the next 5 weeks. Yeah. So, I mean, buckle up, I guess.
Buckle up, boys and girls, because we've entered the fun zone, especially with regard to the flights and this issue, because it's not just passengers, folks, it's also cargo. So, all right, we've got good sir New Scotland Tony, aka Nova Scotia Tony. Go on right ahead, good sir.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Question, comment, go ahead. 90 seconds to 2 minutes if possible, because we got a lot of people.
For sure, yeah. A quick comment and then a quick question for Malcolm. The comment is whether or not things go on for 5 weeks or they resolve it tomorrow. the 5-week thing, we get to enjoy all of this happening with them resolving it. I think that election in Georgia means that the Democrats are going to be having one more seat or something, and that'll be a vote for Massey's bill to release the Epstein files.
Yeah.
So that's good news. So either way, win-win. But the question is, Malcolm, I listened to the Rocinante podcast, and I enjoyed your description of like the military versus the cops, like the escalation versus de-escalation. But my question is, and it kind of feeds into what you were saying about like the laziness or the sluggishness to react being a part of like the water we're swimming in. Like, if there is an escalation thing on the military's behalf, but they're supposed to be, protecting politicians on military bases, like, where does it come to that point? Like, is there a tipping point, do you think, where the military is like, no, we aren't going to actually protect you, Pete Hegseth? Or do you think like there will be hardcore, like conservative military-minded people who will always be like a formation around that structure?
They will always be able to find at least one formation that's like politically reliable. I mean, if you think about Fort Bragg, for example, I don't know off the top of my head how many people are stationed there, but it's like tens of thousands of people, including like SOCOM, Delta Force. So, I mean, but the problem they're facing is just, once you start saying, oh, well, I can't trust these troops. I can't trust like the army regulars because I have like, the sergeants are saying that some of them might throw in a hand grenade into the shower or whatever in the morning when I'm showering. Like at that point, like this is the problem facing like all the kings, that are forced to abdicate or flee in like revolutionary situations. Like it only takes a couple of rotten apples to spoil the barrel in these situations. Rather, like once you're paranoid about which troops you can trust and which ones you can't, like state capacity has already, like state authority, I should say, has already kind of fallen to the wayside. So, like, what you're probably going to see if this takes the route that like these things usually take is that like some formations, and we're probably talking like National Guard, they're just gonna stop following orders. They're not gonna, go like berserk or whatever, become Bane in The Dark Knight or something like that. But they're just gonna say like, fuck you, we're not gonna follow orders.
But
and
Sir
once
Malcolm,
that happens,
Sir Malcolm, look at all the videos and the memes, man. The Dark Age edits and Europa.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, those things will make the
Yeah.
National Guard go, yeah, I'm gonna work 100 hours and not eat any food for the next 5 days.
I envision it just to be like the Berlin Wall, where they just refuse to
Yeah.
fire on these.
Yeah, I mean, you can't order American troops to actually fire on civilians. I mean, there are probably some troops you could, but at that point, you're basically unleashing like the ghosts of the February Revolution. Where you have like certain bands of soldiers like teaming up with the Bolsheviks and going around murdering police officers and so on. Like, once
I do spend some time envisioning like bands, because we were led to believe like that the whole military is infiltrated by lazy green-haired lesbians and trans people. Couldn't they be teaming up with like the racist factions? I spend a good amount of time just daydreaming about that. But anyway, thank you, Malcolm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of an interesting question, but I do think that like what you're going to see, and this is kind of, if we game this out into like sort of beyond the short term, like the US federal government, like it's not built to last and it's not going to last. I would be kind of somewhat surprised actually if you had like a functioning government by the time the next 4th of July rolls around. But once this top level, this federal level falls apart, what's going to happen is that the states are going to be the only things that can step into the vacuum. And at that point, it's like it's gonna be a witch's brew, like a real like menagerie of various factions and like weird ad hoc like alliances and so on. So we're gonna be seeing some really like weird shit. Like if you want to be entertained, you should look up like all the flags of like these temporary statelets during the Russian Revolution. Because there's like 100 of them or something, like of temporary small like pseudo countries that only existed for 6 months or whatever during the Russian Civil War. And you're going to be seeing something not quite to that like ridiculous level, but you're going to be seeing like a lot of ad hoc stuff. Like maybe, you know, Gavin Newsom starts some sort of weird like regional like confederacy or whatever of libtards.
Yeah, lots of fun and games incoming. Questions and comments from the audience. If you have questions and comments for our lovely speaker, Sir Malcom, or for any of us, please send in the request. We will make you speaker. I'm just waiting for more requests to come in. But no, like, I'm just like looking through this stuff. I think as you were speaking, Sir Malcom, they're like, oh, we're gonna have this emergency Senate vote or whatever. I mean, how many votes have they done so far? Like 4 or 5 already. They're not gonna get the 60 votes, right?
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out, okay, are they actually gonna nuke the filibuster? I think the betting markets right now are saying there's a 3 to 5% chance, which is the same as saying it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, like nuking the filibuster is like the worst thing you can do because again, look at the election results. Like if you nuke the filibuster, you basically have to follow that up with like declaring Trump is a king and the republic is over. Because if you don't, like nobody wants to think about the consequences when the Democrats sweep the elections.
Yeah.
Which is a huge, you know, risk given that they had like the best election night anyone can remember, at least for like an
Sir Malcom, they
season.
won. They won these like not just mayoral, but they won these like public school trustee elections where I don't know, in the last 200 years, not a single, you know, Democrat has won that rural district of like, I don't know, 500 people. They won like not just 1 or 2 of those races, but like several of them, right? I mean, it was like a fucking blowout, absolute fucking blowout.
Yeah. So I mean, again, like the Senate Republicans have been pretty clear that like, yeah, we're not going to vote for nuking the filibuster. It's not going to happen. And like the Senate Republicans are different from the Republicans in the House. And, like they will stand up to Trump just to protect their own privileges for, even if it happens at the detriment of the country. So like, I don't really think nuking the filibuster is at all like realistic because again, like here's kind of the problem. Like there's no positive legislative agenda. Like Trump throws out like, yeah, we're going to pay everyone $2,000. And then Besson comes in and says, yeah, but we already did that because there's no tax on tips. That's your $2,000.
Oh man.
Like, but like other than that shit, there's no plan to replace Obamacare with anything else.
No.
There's no plan to replace food stamps with anything else. Like, wanting absolute power when you have like nothing you want to do with it is just kind of.
The memes, Sir Malcom. The right has the memes, the left can't meme. That's the superpower. If you have the memes, you can seize everything else.
Yeah.
That's how much of a felahin, goy cattle, zog cattle, whatever you want to call them. That's how much of a goyim they are. They actually believe that shit. But
Yeah,
no,
but I mean, right now. It seems like even people who are Team Trump are just looking at the "you will own nothing and be
and
happy,
be
stay in
happy. Yeah,
support."
oh
Like,
man,
I mean, the
fucking
the
hilarious.
average Trump supporter, I think, has like an superhuman, like capability for punishment and humiliation. Like in Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition terms, we're talking with people with an unmodified constitution score of like between 40 and 60. But I
That's
mean,
hilarious.
even if you have like that many hit points, at some point, like you're gonna run out of them if you just
Yeah,
keep getting like bashed in the face, which is
yeah.
like what these people are
What's
doing.
happened? Yeah, yeah. Snap will do it. Snap will do it. Okay, we have a question / comment from, let me see if I get this right. Try Sail Fate. Good sir, you are speaker. You've got your hand raised. That's lovely. Unmute, comment, question, go for it.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening, whatever the time zone.
We got multiple time zones, so it's all good. Don't worry about it.
Yes. So, Malcolm, a big fan. I've been following you for a long time, so this is really an honor to speak with you for the first time. Also, I've always been hearing this saying that the empires take the same time it was ascending to be descending. That as in it will not collapse instantly. But what happened to the US is really insane. The collapse is to be the one monopoly in the world in the 90s. No one ever can challenge your hegemony, and for it to change like this in 20 years to this absolute disaster. How could you explain this? Was it a suicide? Or how did they pick these decisions? How did they arrive at this? Because I don't know if you can even try to do it intentionally in 20 years.
Yeah, the thing is though, and this is kind of like that. This is kind of just a sort of a mirage in a way. It's a kind of a trick, because, and I used to hear this quite a lot, like a couple of years ago. Like these people, I never hear this anymore because people can see what's happening in front of their faces. But if we're talking like 2021, if I said like the US is setting for some sort of collapse, I would hear, oh yeah, well that collapse is going to take 60 years because it takes 60 years to like build an empire. And so there's a lot of ruin in the nation, my boy.
Yeah.
I mean, that argument is true, but like the trick is, when do you begin to count? So if you think about the US military, for example, yes, the US military was hyped as this, invincible power in like 2003 or whatever. But you kind of have to realize that like the actual military was slaughtered in the 90s, like the early 90s. So in the late 80s, the US had like 55 prime contractors, like military contractors, 55 big arms companies. And then once the Soviet Union collapsed, they had this, all of them were invited to dinner at the Pentagon, where they said, okay, well, 90% of you are going to die because we can only pay for about 5 companies. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, again, and nobody paid any attention to that. And so like 15 years after they destroyed the industrial base because we can't afford it, people said, oh, well, nobody's ever going to deal with the US military is stronger than it's ever been. Like the US, you had Nixon calling off bombing raids on North Vietnam in the 60s because the bombing planes being used, B-52s, like the production line had been closed and nobody like there was no ability to make more bombers in the 1960s. So that's, around 60, 65 years ago. So again, like if you assume that the popular story is true, where it's like, yeah, America began declining in like 2015 or whatever, and so it's only been declining for 10 years. Yeah, that is quite amazing. But if you look at like how many ships does the US have, how many factories and so on, the decline began in the 70s. And so this isn't particularly out of the ordinary. Like the future historians, insofar as they have access to these figures, are they won't be like mired in the culture and the triumphalism of the early 2000s. So
Yeah,
they
they
would
won't.
just like clinically look at this and say, yeah, like this looks pretty normal to me.
Yeah, exactly. And like a lot of these things, it's just not just the military. Demography is a thing. You can also look at civilian production, all these other things. 1960s America, that was, you could say, peak stagnation, and then 1970s America, world was never the same after that, right? So how much does that make it? So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, that's half a century right there. That's half a century right there. We have, let's see, Will, aka Sakai Senat 1804. He's been waiting patiently. Question, comment, go for it, good sir. I have made you speaker, so you should be able to speak.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Excellent, excellent. So, Malcolm referred to the riots of 2020 as, an example of how Americans can riot, how Americans aren't that docile. I'm not saying this to be a cynic, but I'm pretty team nothing ever happens. I do think things are very much becoming unglued right now, but I do feel like, if things get tremendously worse as this shutdown goes on, I feel like people will just kind of accept it and just continue on with their day. What needs to be understood about the 2020 riots is that there was a lot of money going in people's pockets back then with the CARES Act. So that's kind of just something I wanted to point out. Again, not trying to be a smartass or a cynic, but that's just my observation. But I am curious how, especially as a recession gets, much, much closer and, it's going to happen whether we like it or not. I'm just wondering how people are going to react in comparison to how they reacted during COVID. If we're going to see as strong as a reaction as we did in 2020, or if people are just going to, kind of there's this fight or flight thing. I have a feeling people are just going to go into flight and just continue on with their days and sort of just tolerate it.
I mean, the thing is, if you study history, like everyone has a just so story about why it can't happen here. And it's like you see this. I remember reading about like the British talking about, because the British during World War II were like super exposed in Asia, right? Like the British Empire was about to collapse, and like they couldn't really garrison the entire world. Like the Japanese were an up and coming naval power. And like the British had all of these like just so stories about like why the Japanese weren't a threat. So one of these stories was because Japanese, like it's not a written Japanese. It's not using an alphabet. It's using these like pictograms. So you have to memorize like thousands of characters. And so they basically said, well, Japanese kids have to do that. So there's no space in their brains left for, aiming a torpedo bomber. And others said, no, it's because they have these slanted eyes. So like even if they tried to hit our battleships with a torpedo, like they would just miss because their eyes are so slanted. And like, to give the British some credit, you can actually see like development, like if you do a brain scan on a Japanese child, like their brains will like light up in different locations compared to like a Western kid, just because of like other parts of the brain having to activate in order to try to learn a language. That didn't save the fucking Prince of Wales, though. And that's the kind of thing. Like you can always come up with a story that sort of sounds right. But I wouldn't really bet money on it if I were you, because I would just point to basic human biology. Like if you don't have food, you chimp out. And if you are a mom, and moms are by far the most like dangerous drivers of revolution.
Definitely.
Like you can't just sit back and say, oh well, I guess I'm just gonna watch you die, like to their own kids. No, like moms will fight. They won't like there's no ideology, there's no fucking like program on the TV or like radio waves or whatever you can
Yeah,
send
yeah.
out to
The
make them
moms
not
will
do that.
basically, yeah, the moms will basically get the dads involved and the husbands involved. That's where
Yeah.
the real like second order, third order, and like the online rightoids, they don't comprehend this. Like when you explain to them that the 1917 revolution happened because the moms and the women went to the factory floor and like were tossing stuff in and just like pulled the men in, they don't believe you, man. They're like, oh, you're just making up some feminist bullshit or whatever. Dude, like, open up the history books, man. These things happen, right? And so it's like, well, it can't happen here, man. Like, the American moms are different from the other moms in like, Tsarist Russia or whatever. So it's not going to happen here. Like, at that point, man, they're just coping, man. They're just coping, right? Uh,
Yeah. I mean, like at the end of the day, regarding all like stories about how why it won't happen here, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I believe it when I see it. Like maybe Americans are just so like fucked in the head that like American moms will just go, yeah, whatever, fuck you, kids. But again, like
yeah,
I haven't really seen any evidence of that so far.
none
Mhm.
whatsoever. None whatsoever.
These things are hard coded into like these are like BIOS level settings. Like you can't really write a program that sort of deprograms this response from humans, more or less.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, good sir. Thank you for the question.
Yes, sir.
So,
Thank you very much.
no, it's pleasure is ours. All right. So, let's see who else is on the queue. Nobody right now. But no, like I've heard all kinds of just so stories, Sir Malcolm. I've heard stories like, America is a unique meritocracy, so, these social things will never come unglued. Then there's people who make the argument that it's just another fucking Tuesday, right? Normalcy bias. Then you've got arguments like, well, Trump can simply tell the troops to fire and shoot, and what are these people going to do, right? And all of them fail, man. I mean, I'm a very boring person. My basic like people ask me, enough, what's your ideology? My ideology is reversion to the mean, right? It's like, Peter Turchin, Professor Peter Turchin, complexity scientists, and these other guys, we've been studying human societies for like a while, right? We got data sets. We know 200, 300 human societies. We know what their trends are. We know what their patterns are. There are structural demographic forces, like you're saying, Sir Malcolm, whether it's biological, hardwired in, or what have you. They always fire, right? Without fail. And so it's like, the only thing left that people can do is they can do two things, right? And I say two things, but it's actually the same argument, right? It's the same argument which takes two different forms. The first form is Americans are so uniquely virtuous that, whether it's like, oh, you have to work 100 hours and not eat any food and do all this stuff, they'll do it. And then the other prong of the argument is, well, no, Americans are so uniquely vice-filled and what have you. They're so uniquely evil that the mom will let the starving kids die. I mean, I'm just like, okay, but both of you are wrong, right? America's not different from any other society in human history, and America's not going to behave any differently from all the other humans that have ever existed over the last like 200,000 years or so, or give or take, right? We got some requests. I think it was Sir Olamo first. Sir Olamo, you are speaker. Question, comment, go for it. Keep it to the point of the spaces, 90 seconds to 2 minutes if possible. Go ahead, good sir. Unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to ask Malcolm, what's going on in Europe with this? The collapse of the Burgerreich, what does it look like from the outside, from places that are so tethered to it?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's gonna be for Europe. I mean, Europe, it's basically Kazakhstan or whatever to the Soviet Union here, like the Russia of America. So it's not gonna be great, but it's probably gonna be in some ways less bad than. We don't really have the same sort of runaway inflation in the US right now, like in Europe, for example, because we don't have the tariffs. We don't have this insane data center build out. So energy prices in the US are probably going up more than in Europe. And Europe, here we have the insane energy policy vis-a-vis Russia. I just get the sense that things are really there's still a sense of normalcy in Europe, I would say. It's kind of deceptive, but also what you're gonna see here is you're not gonna see some sort of Sweden isn't gonna fall apart into its constituent parts. America might. What's going to be the real crisis in Sweden is just that people are going to have to figure out, okay, what the fuck do we do now in a post-American world? And that's not going to be an easy question to answer. And it's the answer is going to be pretty humiliating and pretty bleak for the Swedes. But it's still basically, I would say that the big problem facing Europe is what do you do in East Germany if communism collapses? What even is East Germany at that point? It's nothing. And what is Europe today without the US? It's kind of nothing as well. And so it will have to figure out a way to be something again. And that's not going to be an easy task whatsoever. But for the US, the problem is just I don't really think that it will survive in its current as this global empire, this sort of federal behemoth. But so we kind of have different problems in a way. The Americans will have to figure out okay, what comes after America? And that will be a very different kind of question from Europeans figuring out what comes after America. Just because of, if you're an American asking that, it's kind of in your face in a completely different way.
Yeah, I mean, Europe basically, I think, Sir Malcolm, you called it the post-World War II religion. That's kind of on its last legs. So it's just going to be all these other currents, whether it's Eurabia, Eurafrica, Eurosiberia. It's just going to be a fragmented peninsula. It's just going to be different people doing different things. And they'll be saying, well, we are the heirs to this other thing, which called itself Europe. And I don't think there's going to be any resolution to that. It's just going to be more and more fragmentation, right? Because again, like you're saying, they don't believe in something, and to be something, you got to believe in something, right? So, Sir Kenaz, please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. All right. Anyhow, that was Sir Olamo.
Guys.
Thank you, good. Yeah, no worries. Thank you, good sir, for the question. I think next we have. Let me see if I got it correct.
Let's take
Bob
the
Johnson.
last ones, and then I have to head out. Actually, so
no worries. All right, so let's do Bob Johnson, and can you do one more,
yeah.
or is that going to be the last one?
Yeah, I can do one more.
All right. Excellent. All right. Bob Johnson, good sir, you are speaker. Unmute yourself. Question, comment, go for it.
Hi. Yeah, I'm just wondering if Malcolm has any advice that he would give to those of us in the States who are in it. My plan is to maybe buy one of those giant chest freezers and fill it up with ground beef to sort of beat the burger meat inflation for a bit and keep grilling for as long as possible. But I don't know if Malcolm, you have any sort of class of asset that you think would be even more promising than a chest freezer full of burger meat, or if there's any non-United States passport that you would be scrambling to get your hands on if you were an American citizen at this point. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, if I was if we're talking passports, I would just move to Russia. The shared values visa, I guess. That's
Man.
probably probably one of the easier ones to get, as you can just claim to be a refugee from the insane American imperialism or whatever, and I'm sure they'll let you in. They might actually They might actually let you in over that. They've been kind of interested in doing to America what America did to Russia in the 90s. So turnabout is fair play. Other than that, I mean, here I'm going to say something boring and borrow from the archdruid John Michael Greer. I think the best resource in these cases is often just knowing your neighbors. It's having, not being completely socially atomized. That is actually the thing that saves you in these, in crises. The problem with having a hoard of gold or whatever is that someone will figure out you have one and then come and beat you up and take it. But having a good working relationship with your neighbors, that's harder to take from you at the end of a halberd. So, I mean, it's even if it's the end of America, that's not the end of the world, and it's not the end of, Americans either. Just as it wasn't the end, the end of the Soviet Union wasn't the end of Russians. Life kind of goes on, even if it's gonna be pretty shitty for a while. So the boring the reply here, but it's boring because it's the common sense one. It's just you basically, the more you can rely on others, the better off you will be.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That is exactly it. Barter and, neighbors and what have you. Yeah, it's going to be rough, but other societies have gone through it as well. Lasagna Delenda. I think, good sir, you want to be speaker, so I'll let you have the last comment / question, and then Sir Malcolm has to do other stuff. So, Lasagna Delenda. Give it a few moments. And if he doesn't show up, we can also call it quits, I guess. But sometimes people have connectivity issues, so what can you do? Well, he's not showing up, so... I mean, it's been 2.5 hours, I think, almost. So that's plenty of material. I think, Sir Malcolm, thank you for showing up and answering questions, being an excellent guest. We should probably do this sometime next month when things get very, very spicy during the holiday season. And if this government shutdown thing is still going, we'll have a lot more doomful quips with regard to how fucked things are. But no, I think Sir Kenaz and myself, maybe we'll just make this like a regular thing of America is fucked ... edition, right? This is gonna be the running gag. Yeah. So, any closing remarks, Sir Malcolm? With
No.
the coming doom, gloom, and despair.
Not really. I mean, we'll see what happens, I guess. I need to go and hit the sack. But yeah, hopefully America is still left by the time I wake up. Or maybe we should hope it has been swallowed up. And so what was it Khomeini said? Like, America is the vehicle through which Satan enters the world.
That's a perfect way to end the episode.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sir Malcolm. Thank you, Sir Kinez.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our dear listeners for tuning in. This is the end, and yeah, Sir Kinez will have it up on Substack shortly.
Yep.
And remember, as always, everyone,
the doom cometh.
Your soul is mine.